Approval of Senate Bill 150 caused a lot of reaction inside and outside of the state capitol. Kentucky State Police arrested protesters inside the House gallery, and they were later released from Franklin County Jail. Advocates against SB 150 say although parts of this bill technically go into effect today, they'll continue to fight against these measures. It's been a controversial topic all session long at the state capitol. Senate Bill 150, which deals with restricting gender-affirming medical treatments and not requiring educators to use pronouns, among other restrictions and requirements, caused tense debates in both chambers. Now, parts of this bill will take effect.
So I imagine many school administrators and many teachers are very confused about what this is going to look like for them. I know for a fact that trans youth are very confused about what this is going to mean for them. I've heard trans parents talking about, like, should I even send my child to school? Like, what's going to happen to them if I send them to school tomorrow?
Those for the bill say this will protect Kentucky children.
I think that in order for a child's education to be all that it can be, the parents must be involved in that process. I understand that there are many absent parents in the lives of students, but for those parents that wish to be involved in their child's education and wish to know what they are being taught, especially in sensitive areas like human sexuality, this bill allows full parental access and approval.
Students from across the Commonwealth protested outside of the Capitol Wednesday, and more advocates protested in the House, resulting in several arrests.
Just to remember that there are trans adults that are going to continue to show up for you and fight for you.
Some parts of the bill that can take effect immediately include the use of preferred pronouns and restrictions on assigned bathrooms in schools. We reached out to several school districts for comment about changes in their policies following the passing of the bill, but have not heard back.